Okay, thrilled to be able to do this for a couple of quick minutes. He has been an owner in the league. You know, it's funny. We've been doing this so long. I still think of him as like a new owner in the league. He's probably one of the longest tenured owners in the entire NBA at this point. The owner of the Dallas Mavericks is Mark Cuban, and he's back with us on Mike and Mike. How are you, Mark?
Good, guys. How are you doing?
By the way, Mark, saw your cameo on Billions. Nice job helping out
I
Damian.
appreciate that.
Yeah, helping out Damian Lewis with the whole NFL thing. That was good, or ownership of a team thing. Good job out of you.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
One of the reasons we wanted to get you on, there's obviously always good stuff to talk about with you, but this issue of players resting and all of that has become a really big topic right now here. And I respect both sides of it. We've heard Adam Silver, and he said that he was appealing directly to you and your fellow owners over the concerns from a business standpoint on this. And then I hear from guys like Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr talking about the legitimate reasons why they believe it is beneficial to rest players during the season. So, Mark, the floor is yours. What would you like the fans to hear from you about this topic?
The science is the science, and that's what the Mavericks follow. And I think, you know, we've kind of used rest as a catch-all for trying to protect players' health and, you know, trying to protect teams, you know, because there's nothing worse than a player getting injured. You know, we talk about pulling out players at the end of a blowout or not playing them in games that are not important. But the reality is what's changed in the 17 years since I bought the team, you know, back when I was 12, you know, what's changed is we're a lot smarter about the science of rest, the science of recovery, the you know, medical science. And so as we've gotten smarter, we've used that information. And I'll tell you the one big piece, and you know, when we talk to our medical guys, the one big piece that is not being talked about is practice time, because not everybody's playing 40 minutes. You know, the physicality of every game is different. You know, just traveling can be as taxing on your body as playing a game. So understanding how much time you're spending in the air, how much time you're spending in a hotel room versus your own bed, all those things add up into, okay, what's the best way to put our players in a position to not only succeed but also stay healthy?
When did you fully buy into that? Because we've been down to your facility a couple of times. You're always cutting edge on what's going on, and we've heard more and more when Pop talked about it as well, about the technology. When did you say, okay, I am buying into this and we need to follow kind of this path now?
I mean, since day one, we went from, you know, circadian cycles and, you know, what time to get, if you have a day game, what time do you get everybody up for practice? What time do you know, take off with the plane and, you know, get to the hotel? And what time do you feed the guys and what do you feed them? And, you know, how do you tailor it to individuals? I mean, we've been focusing on it since day one, but, you know, each year since then, more information has come out, more science has come out, so you update your perspective and you move forward with that. But again, I want to emphasize, guys, that the biggest issue and one of the bigger challenges that isn't being addressed right now is practice time, right? It's great to say we've reduced the number of 4 games in 5 nights and we'll eliminate them. It's great to reduce the number of back-to-backs. But if teams don't have time to practice, we can't work on the individual elements that keep them in shape or that rehab their body because we're so busy traveling. And that's one of the big catch-22s. Like last year, the Mavs didn't have a 3-day break till like April, which is crazy. And, you know, if we don't have practice time, we can't really do those things that guys need to do to rehab their body, and that's a real problem.
So what is the solution to this? I know the owners are going to meet, yourself included, of course, early next month in New York. From a scheduling standpoint specifically, what kinds of things are we talking about? Are we talking about extending the season, meaning in terms of total number of days? Are we talking about maybe the East and West teams only play each other once a year instead of twice? What specifically are we talking about?
So a couple things. One, you know, we've already scrubbed a couple preseason games. I think that's fine. 2, I think you can bookend it by starting earlier and ending later. You know, one of the issues in ending later is, you know, people watch less television during the summer, and if the further back we push the finals, you know, there's a possibility that fewer people will watch, and that's not good for our partners. I'd say the next thing is, and this will be, I'm guessing, the biggest debate, is, you know, when we go to put together the schedule, each team has the opportunity to block out days in their optimal schedule. So, you know, if the Mavs have the circus coming into town, or the American Airlines Center has a circus coming into town, the arena might ask, okay, can we block off these days because it's a big revenue producer? Well, back in the day, that might have been okay for us to say, you know what, an NBA game might take second place to the circus because the circus might pull in more people, circa 1995. But today, we've got to emphatically say, an NBA game is the priority, period, end of story. And you can't block out a night that it would be critical to letting us put together the schedule just so you can have a concert. And if that costs the owner of the team some money, so be it, because there's a bigger picture issue right now. And I think fighting through that is probably going to be the biggest issue.
Mavs owner Mark Cuban joining us. What did you make of Adam Silver with his memo about significant penalties if the procedure isn't followed correctly for resting these guys? Because I'm sure he's heard from.
I think, knowing Adam, I think he just wanted to reinforce the idea that this is important, that you can't just do it willy-nilly. Because, look, the truth is, I think some teams are using it competitively. Like, you don't want to play, there's the psychology of it. Let's not play our best guys against a primary rival that we might see in the playoffs because, we don't want to give anything away. And so I think that's really the real purpose. And, it goes back to, when the Spurs played the Suns way back when and they rested their guys. I don't think it was necessarily a rest. I think it was a psychological ploy. And the Mavs have done it as well. Rest our guys against a potential playoff opponent and, send the message that, you can't scout us and we'll be ready come playoffs. But I think he just wants to send that message that, look, you need to follow the procedures. We need to make sure that you're doing this for a legitimate reason, and then all is well.
And on a personal note for you, with Dirk getting 30,000th point, and Greeny and I mentioned we got to spend some time with him a couple of times. One of the nicest, classiest guys out there that maybe doesn't get the due. Quite honestly, he should all time. So what has he meant to you, not only professionally but personally?
He's a great guy. I mean, we've been through a ton of ups and downs together. He came into the NBA about a year and a half before I did. And so, I grew up with Dirk in this business, and we both kind of learned it together on the court and off. And, how he deals with people, the time he spends. I learned early on that I don't own the team. All of North Texas owns the Dallas Mavericks. I'm just responsible for the finances. And Dirk figured that out before I did. And, there's not a request for an autograph that goes unheeded. There's not a visit to a hospital that he won't take. There's not a kid he won't, add 20 minutes to his night to take pictures with. He's just that kind of guy. He's married and he's about to probably have 20 kids, but he's that guy that you'd want your daughter to date. He's that good a guy.
That's cool.
Mark Cuban, it's always our pleasure to catch up. We look forward to hearing what comes out of these meetings in early April, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Mark.
You got it, guys. I appreciate the time. Thank you.